Happy Hump Day. It's in the Christmas vibe. I've still got my jumper on, even though you can't see it.
Yes.
Reindeer. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Almost Christmas, which is exciting.
Almost Christmas. Like literally
This week.
happening. In fact, actually, this episode will go out before Christmas. Will it?
Oh.
No, this episode will go out after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you had a good day.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Oh, gee.
But we're probably going to talk about what are we doing. Are you ready? Or you don't need to be ready because you don't celebrate Christmas.
Not really, although I turn up for the food. So, but yes, there is less pressure on me. It's nice.
And we'll be celebrating. You're doing prawns and oysters.
And oysters, yes, exactly. I don't know. I really can't be bothered to make the ginger cake this year, but we'll see.
Do you know what? I haven't done my baking. So every year I bake biscuits and Rocky Road. It's like the tradition.
Yes.
And I normally start at least a week before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I haven't even, it's not even, we're not got there yet, but we're going to get there.
You definitely are shooting for the biscuits and Rocky Road and everything. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a challenge.
It just doesn't feel like Christmas if I'm not doing that.
Yeah, true. Did you put your tree up?
No, I haven't even done that yet. This is the thing. I've got so much to do still. I will. It will happen.
Okay. Magically, yes.
Yes, it's going to happen. So how have you been?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm looking forward to not working. Hopefully, I'm trying to take some leave earlier this week, so we'll see how that works out. I'm really excited about not working.
How are you taking some time off?
Yes, hopefully 2.5 weeks, because it's been a long year. Year of leave. I don't think I've taken this year, because when I was supposed to go to Port Macquarie, I got COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That week, magically, the only week I had, taken as holiday. So, what about you? You've been good? You've been so busy.
I have been reasonably busy with work, tying up a few things, catching up with people because everybody wants to catch up at Christmas.
Indeed.
Don't they? Indeed. And last night I caught up with Mel and Kathy and Bhavna.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so we had it was quite funny because we had a brunch, a Christmas brunch. But the weather's been terrible for summer.
Yes, the sky's been ridiculous.
Ridiculous. It's raining. It's cold. It feels like winter.
It does. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sure for English people it wouldn't feel like winter, but for Australians, this is winter.
All right, it feels like autumn for a British person, but still. Oh, I mean, in the UK it's snowing and it's -7.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So not quite the same.
Not quite the same, but even it's been like 20 degrees the last couple of days, and I'm like, I am freezing my ass off.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the rain as well. Gloomy.
Yes.
It's not typical for this time of year. It's quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go to the beach, which is bizarre to me. Yes, you're not burning in the heat. It's not 45 degrees, which is what we're used to.
Exactly. So we'll wonder what Christmas Day will bring. I mean, typically it's not that nice on Christmas Day anyway. It's like a weird, I think maybe 1 year it's been nice and all the time I've lived here.
Yeah, usually super hot. Like really hot. But
or rainy. But like rainy, kind of tropical rainy.
Tropical rainy, yeah. But I don't know, it might be cold this year.
Maybe.
No pool time.
Well, no pool time.
I'm sure the kids wouldn't care, but yes.
I know. But this is going to be our final guest speaker of the year. We've got a new guest to chat to today. This is exciting.
Definitely. Who have we got on?
Well, we have a good friend and mentor, Andrew Law. So we met, basically, I was looking for a mentor. So I've been coaching now for a few years, and I know if you want to improve, this is what I've been learning. If you want to be better, you need a mentor who's further along the journey than you.
Right.
And I remember hearing that time and time again. I'm like, right, I'm going to find myself a mentor. Literally just put it out there. I was like, I need to find myself a mentor. And then I thought about what I wanted in a mentor. I was like, I want a mentor who is trained in the same coaching tools that I'm trained in, but has been doing it for longer, obviously. And I want a mentor that knows how to set up a business because they've already established their own.
Yeah.
You know, to be successful, thriving, and that be 100% of their time. So I was like, right, I need to find a mentor with these attributes. And obviously somebody who's caring and empathetic and all of those things. So I thought, right, I literally put it out there. And then I'm looking on Facebook and I see an ad for a business coach who is looking for coaches who want to become part of his training program or a business coaching program. And he will help you with your marketing, with your website, all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh yeah. So I looked up, and I didn't know who he was, and but I realized he's part of this community that I was part of, a big coaching community. So I started asking people, oh, do you know this guy? Do you know who he is? What's he like? And people said, yeah, we know Andrew. He's great. I didn't know he was doing this, helping other coaches. Yeah, it'd be great. He'd be a great mentor. So I signed up with him, and it's been the best. It's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really helped me grow as a coach, and he's really helped me with my business, because that's the thing, you know, you've got to be everything in your business when you start, unless you've got heaps of investment to pay other people. Then you have to be your own salesman, your own marketer, your own events organizer, your own social media, your own podcast editor.
Yes.
You have to be all of those. You have to wear all of these hats.
Yeah.
You can't just be a coach and do that. So yeah, it's good. And I mean, it's good to learn how to do all these things. He's taught me a lot. He's introduced me to lots of tools to help me make my life easier. But he's also become a really good friend as well. I just think he's just such a beautiful, beautiful human being. Like one of the nicest people I've ever met. Very kind, very compassionate, understanding, and has a genuine desire to help people, help coaches, because he wants to see, like I do, as many coaches out there helping people, because, you know, a lot of people do need help. Exactly. So he'll be joining us very soon. I'm just going to see, I will actually message him and see how he's going, because we expect him to join us any minute.
You have a bio for him, though.
Yeah. But I'll wait till he joins.
Fair enough. You didn't get an office Kris Kringle this year. You don't have an office.
No, but we do our Kris Kringle. Oh, it's not the same, is it? Silly Santa. Have you got your Silly Santa?
I haven't got the Silly Santa, and I haven't got my Kris Kringle present yet. I'm still sort of trying to figure out what to get, which is terrible. But some people are harder to buy for.
So I'll explain. So with Christmas is a catch up between myself and other call ourselves orphans, but that kind of sounds terrible when I think about what orphans really is.
Yeah.
But it would be typically what you call people that are expats and their family are not here with their families. So we've spent every Christmas together and created our own Aussie family here in Australia.
Yes.
And now we have what? How many? Let's see. Let's go with the numbers. 2, 4, 7 adults,
Mhm.
4
Yeah.
children,
Yes.
and 2 dogs.
Yes.
We are now 7 adults, 4 children, and 2 dogs. And we spend every Christmas together, and we all bring something.
Yes.
Yeah. We all bring something to contribute towards the day.
And we do Kris Kringle.
And we do like a numbers thing where everybody gets a present, but it's a secret. Like we don't know who it's from. So you get a really lovely it's from Santa, clearly. So you get a present from Santa, but also we do a silly Santa.
Yes.
So like a low budget item, silly. And we do the game where we kind of steal.
Yes.
You can steal silly Santas
Yes.
as well. And there's always one item that's highly sought after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's quite funny. So everybody wants it.
yeah.
And then somebody gets it and they're like, yes. And then somebody steals it from them.
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
When the parents are around, so we had, I think, Annalise's parents not too long ago. I think he won something that I really wanted. And Annalise is like, don't steal it. And I was like,
Did you steal it?
I didn't, because I was like, okay, he might hate me forever. At some point, I want to go to South Africa, so maybe not. But I was very tempted to. I'll take this opportunity to apologize to Pip for all those years ago when I stole that donut maker.
Oh, Pip at work. I was like, who? Okay.
She was Christmas, and she really wanted that donut maker, and I took it from her because she really wanted it, so it seemed like the thing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I feel bad about that now, Pip. So if we ever get around to doing another Christmas together, and there's another donut maker, hell, if we do another Christmas together, I'll buy a donut maker and I'll put it in the thing.
Oh, you're sweet.
I wasn't then when I stole it from her, but yes.
I am so excited because I'm going to introduce Andrew Law, or Lowe, if I spelled it correctly. So Andrew, after his 21st birthday, moved to Australia from Malaysia to complete his university studies as an international student. So he was 21 when he moved here. And his plan was to complete his IT degree, move back home, start a career, and even have a family. But one thing led to another. He discovered parts of himself, his identity, his sexuality, that he had struggled to come to terms with for so long. And he began making every effort to stay permanently in Australia, as he felt that his country Australia, would give him the opportunities and the freedom to live his best and most authentic life. And he started lecturing at the University of Southern Queensland in Australia, and he was working as a freelance consultant with Fujitsu International, running workshops across the whole of Asia. And he fell into a dark place whilst doing that work that led to a serious accident. And you maybe talk about that. And he decided that things had to change. It was a turning point in his life. And he worked on himself physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. And he built a thriving transformation coaching practice, specializing in helping career-focused professionals to heal past trauma, let go of the past, so they can live a life both of success and happiness. And he has the privilege of training and mentoring aspiring transformation coaches like me to build our own successful and joyful businesses. And without further ado, I will introduce Andrew. He's joining us just now. Hello.
Welcome.
Hi Tracy, hi Meenal. How are ya?
Hi. We're wonderful. Thank you for getting up early on a Sunday morning to join us.
Oh, I've been up for a couple of hours, so all good, and I'm really excited to join you guys. It's like it's something I look forward to, chatting with, like-minded people, and doing something like this on a Sunday morning. It sets up my day.
Great. Oh, we really love to hear that, because when we get people on, they're like, "Is it too early on a Sunday for people?" But no, everybody seems
Up
to be
for a
fine.
couple of hours. That's amazing.
I know.
Sorry.
On purpose. No, I'm saying you've been up for a couple of hours already on purpose.
I think just my natural biological clock. Yeah, and I've got a dog, and you know he needs to go out for a walk, so we went out for a walk this morning. Fresh, farmers markets this morning where I live, so we took a walk there, and I'm catching up with another friend for breakfast in about 2 hours. So it's going to be an awesome day.
It is. Is it nice there? Because it's absolutely bucketing with rain in Sydney today.
It is crisp, and the sun is out, and it's actually really beautiful today here in Brisbane.
That's
Oh,
nice.
of course it is. Of course it is.
Where are you based, Meenal?
I'm in Sydney, in Baulkham Hills in Sydney.
Right, so you're in Sydney as well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So our weather hasn't been very good for us. Certainly no beach weather days, really. I mean, we've
No.
had a couple of days that have been 29, very welcomed, but yeah, still quite chilly. So
Cool. Yeah. And I mean, to curiosity, how do you guys know each other?
We talked about that, haven't we? Well, you go on. Is that the questions for you, Meenal?
Well, actually, I remember the day. Well, we know each other from work. We both used to work for the same company, and I remember the day Tracy started, and she was being introduced and whatnot to the rest of the team. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I don't know why I thought this, honestly." But I was like, "She looks like a bitch," but no, I did not.
It looks like a what, sorry?
No. No, I thought she looked very too cool to be
Oh,
friends.
too cool for school.
Basically, and a little intimidating. So I was like, yeah, that's never gonna happen. So I don't actually, I remember, I know, right? Just a little when you see her. It's just that little. So yeah, I thought to myself, well, she seems nice enough, but we're never gonna be friends. But it turned
Oh, wow.
very good friends. So I don't know how. I actually remember the first day, but I don't remember how we first met or like interacting and how it, but anyway, that's how we know each other.
I was placed to sit near you.
That's right. Yes. I think so, at the end of the desk. So maybe that was it. And we used to do a lot more going out, and when we first, we were young and spirited, so
We're still young and spirited. We'll always be young and spirited.
It's like, oh, I'm not old and crinkled.
I know.
Well, to be honest, you guys are talking to me at 8:30 in the morning, so I feel old right now. Maybe later on when my body clock.
It's 7:30 in Brisbane.
I know. Yes.
I know. I don't get that intimidate. I've heard that before. So without me even speaking to anyone,
Yes.
how am I intimidating?
I don't know. I think it's maybe how you hold yourself or something. It's
Yeah,
not.
I think it's
You have a lot of
yeah.
confidence and stuff, which is great. But yes, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't, of course, everyone's perception is unique. My perception isn't intimidating, just that it's how you hold yourself. You're articulate, you're beautiful, and you know what you're talking about,
Yes.
and yeah, so not everyone has that level of confidence. We all aspire to.
Exactly.
Because it's not the first time I've heard that as a first impression. So I'm curious about what that means. Anyway,
Well,
interesting.
there you go. How we met.
That's how we met. I've already introduced you to the audience, and I wanted to ask first, because Meenal's going to ask you some questions. How did you find the questions that we sent?
Yeah, the questions were great. Yeah, there's probably more than enough questions for the time that we've got, but we just go with the flow. Yeah,
Exactly.
and before you do that, I might actually just change my profile and add my pronouns.
Oh yes, that's great.
I might do that.
And I used to ask, what pronouns do you use?
Oh, okay. Oh, do you ask during the
Well, I'm asking you now. Yeah.
He and him.
He and him.
Yeah, he and him. Yeah. Beautiful. So so this part is still recorded, but then you edit out the actual intro. Is that how it works?
I don't edit out the intro now. Just all of it's in.
So all of it's in, including what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I absolutely love that. The
It's a
whole-
conversation.
Yeah. You know, the candid nature of it. I love that. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, no, I really love the questions. I think they're thought provoking, and it got me to think about my past, my history, the day I landed in Australia, my experience in the country town, Toowoomba, for I think about 12 years. Before I moved to the big smoke of Brisbane, whatever that is.
I had no idea.
How for 12 years? That's amazing. What was that like? That must have been so strange. I don't know why I'm so...
Brought up in Asia and in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, where the definition of a city is more than 1 million people.
Mm.
Before I flew over to Australia, they did this pre-flight talk, and there were the officials from the university administration who turned up to give us this little, like sort of a acclimatization, pre-flight talk, and they told us the city of Toowoomba. So in my mind, I was thinking skyscrapers, more than 1 million people, and hustle and bustle of city life. But we landed at the airport quite late that day. I think it was past midnight. There was some delays with the flights, and we got on the Greyhound bus. No, actually, I think it was McCafferty's bus service at that time up to Toowoomba. And on the way up the range, so Toowoomba is located, up on the range, and we were like, we were one of the first batch of Asian students. We were like, where are they taking us? Where are they taking us? And then we arrived early morning in Toowoomba, and there was a horse on the road. And we were like, oh my gosh, did he? So that was a bit of a culture shock in and of itself. Eventually, though, we realized what the definition of a city was, and it was actually a really good experience coming from the hustle and bustle of city life to a place where there was more calm and peace. Yeah, and, as a student, it really gave me a chance to focus on my studies and mingle with the local. Yeah, because the university in Toowoomba, USQ, they have very strong ties with local community.
Yeah.
And so lots of social events that involve the locals, and we got to know, there were families there that I became part of their families during times like Christmas, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a place to go to.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I was just wondering. I had no idea. So this is really interesting for me. I had no idea that's.
The plan was to go to Toowoomba, study, get my degree, and then head back home and start a family, whatever that means, right? Start a family as a gay guy. That was not out to his parents at the time. But of course, one thing led to another. I actually did really well at uni compared to a school in Malaysia. I think because, over here, there was a lot of encouragement to do critical thinking, whereas in Malaysia, the education was more about local learning. So I love studying here in Australia. So I did well at uni and continued on to do my master's. And that gave me opportunities to do tutoring. And then I applied to be a lecturer. So that's why the 12 years in I started my first career basically in Australia. Lecturer at USQ.
So what was it like in Toowoomba?
Because we were on our first batch of students, of international students, I don't think the locals knew what to expect. And we didn't either. I have to say, well, first of all, I spoke English well before I came over. I've always had a passion for the English language. I watch a lot of American TV and but it wasn't the language, it was the accent and the slang. So I remember I was lost in the campus in like the first week of uni. And this, lecturer walked out of his office, and I still remember him, this tall, 6'6" guy who's a footballer. Yeah, and he asked me, "Are you right?" You guys get it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you right? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, are you asking me if I'm right-handed or left-handed? Asking me if I'm correct or wrong. So it took me a while to get into the headspace that was just asking if I was okay, if I was all right, if I needed help. So that was one of my first experiences. Another one was this well-meaning young girl, in her early 20s, obviously, first week of uni, and she came over, and she was really friendly, and in the middle of a conversation, she said, this is the first time I'm seeing a real life Asian.
Asians, oh my god.
So, well-meaning, well-intentioned,
Yeah.
no malice at all. But I guess there is this spectrum between malignant racism and just blissful ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah. There totally is. We talk about it all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was great. It was great. And then when I started lecturing, I became part of the staff, and I could then access also, there was a lecturer who did guitar lessons for the community for free, and then I joined that as well. There were international festivals, food festivals. I was part of that, and every year in Toowoomba, there are multicultural, sort of like a talent time.
Oh, what? Sorry?
Yeah, like a talent time, a showcase of different cultures and their talents.
Oh, a talent time.
Time, yeah.
Ah.
People from all over the world who were there would audition to be part of this talent day. And because I sing as well, so I had opportunities to perform. And in one of my final years, they also asked me to co-MC the event with with a colleague from PNP, I think she was. And so I got really involved with the local event.
Wow, that sounds really inclusive community, right?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yes, of course, you only got one end of the spectrum, which is the university bubble that is really inclusive.
Yeah.
And of course, you've got the townsfolk who took a while to adjust to the locals walking in their stores.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the first time I've seen a real life Asian.
Yes.
I felt really awkward initially, the first few months in Toowoomba, walking into stores. Well, I mean, first of all, it was a culture shock of stores opening at like 10 in the morning and closing shop at 3 in the afternoon.
Yes.
So that was a shock in and of itself. So we were like, oh, comparatively to in Kuala Lumpur, where shops are open 24 hours, and especially food stalls. So that was a shock to the system. But I do remember walking into most shops at the time, and they would look at me with this glare. Unsure, really unsure. And I don't think it came from a place of malice. It was just uncertainty and insecurity. Not knowing, and I guess they would have experiences where they try to speak to Asian students, and then they'd have trouble with English, and they'd have trouble communicating. So I discovered after a couple of months that all I have to do is to walk in the store, walk up to them, and actually say hello, and strike up a conversation first. Yeah, I mean, I feel we shouldn't have to, and yet we have a choice at the time. Do we put up with the awkwardness, or do we take responsibility to step up first?
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. If we do that and they're still treating people from a different country with some awkwardness, then it's their shit.
Yeah.
Then it's their shit.
Yeah.
But I think, in the beginning, especially as a guest of a country, I think there is a responsibility. When I was traveling in France, for instance, we walk into a store and try to say hello in French to start off with, rather than assume that everyone speaks English.
I always do that. Bonjour, bonjour. I met a few French people.
And then that, parlez-vous anglais? Because that's all I know.
At least you're trying. I took French in school and I still don't know anything more than
Oh,
really.
French.
Yes, it's
Not really. Yeah. My passion has always been Latin-based languages. Has always been Italian. I love Italian.
it is a very sexy language. That.
Yes.
I might start off with the first questions. So, when did you know you were gay, and how did you tell people?
Oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm revealing this story to the interweb. I mean, my friends know. I was about, I think, seriously about, and this harks back to the root premise that people have. People say, is it nature or nurture?
Nature or nurture?
Yeah, is it nurture or nature? In terms of sexuality. And, I say it's both. And I actually believe it's more nature because I was about 5 or 6 at the time. And I was watching the Grammy Awards on TV in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Bananarama was singing Love in the First Degree. I'm showing my age here.
Yeah.
Love in the First Degree. And they had these really, really attractive male dancers. And as a kid, I was more interested in the movements of the dancers than in the singing from Bananarama. And that's when I actually thought, I think I had that cognitive dissonance. Dissonance that, is there something wrong with me?
Oh.
Yeah, so that was, and growing up in a culture where it was drilled into us, even at a young age, that, boys are not feminine, girls are not masculine. Those people over there, are sinful or they're doing the wrong things, do not mingle with them. So the first question that came in my mind as a kid was, is there something wrong with me?
Oh.
Yeah. That must have been a terrible way to feel. When did it turn for you, like thinking that it was wrong to thinking maybe perhaps this isn't wrong and this is who I am?
I think growing up in a culture where the indoctrination was so strong and you believe the truths of society. So, looking back, I can feel it in my body now. I grew up, in my childhood, in my teen years, and it wasn't until I moved to Australia at the age of 21 that I gathered enough courage to explore the question, to uncover the possibility that there was nothing wrong with me. That makes sense. Like to even be open to exploring the possibility that there's nothing wrong with me, that I don't need. Because I do remember growing up as a teenager, I'd wake up in the morning and, you hear news of people getting attacked and all that. And I look in the mirror and I just go, if only I was different. Is there something? And I have to continue to hide myself because it wasn't safe. It wasn't physically safe, let alone emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And survival is, a basic human need.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do remember though when I knew for sure when my dad won the lottery, and this is crazy, this is another crazy story. My dad actually won the lottery. We came from a really poor family, and he actually won the lottery. And he had the good sense to ask me, "Do you want to study overseas?" And and I said sure. And that was the time when I went, maybe in this country, or in this Western country, where they are more progressive, I could actually find myself.
Oh. We just lost you there. Your sound went.
Oh, which part?
Maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In this progressive country, and then
maybe in this other country that I'm about to go to, it was a choice between Australia, the UK, and Canada at the time. This more progressive Western country, with all love and respect, where the whites are, where they are more involved, that whole idea,
yeah,
involved. Maybe I could be accepted there. And that was the time I think, where I thought, great, I can maybe find some answers.
Right. And so have you told people now? Have you told family, and how was that? What was that like?
Yeah, when I told my mom, it wasn't easy for her at all. Yeah, a lot of guilt and shame from her part. My dad had always, had this thing about, don't hide behind your mom all the time. And music's for girls. I love music, and music is for, when I was when when my mom took me my first piano lesson, she actually swore me to secrecy to not tell anyone, because we lived in a village, and if anyone in a village knew that I was taking piano lessons, my dad would find out, and he would stop piano lessons because so it was really, really interesting at the time. Something that this little boy was passionate about, that he loved music and he didn't hide it. Judged him or took that away from him. Yeah, so it was really interesting at the time. Yeah, when I told my mom, no, it wasn't good at all. She cried a lot, blamed herself, and I told her when she visited me in Australia, and she still come over and visit me every year. But I think there was this always bad that I'm not what she wanted me to be.
I'm not what? Sorry, I couldn't
I'm
hear
not
you.
what she wanted me to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not what she wanted me to be. And for a few years before, she had friends at the time in Brisbane, in other places in Australia as well, and she tried to set me up with girls.
Yeah.
Yes, girls, yeah. And every time I would have a conversation with her or confront her with it and tell her no, I'd set a boundary, she'd cry. Yeah. And for a while, I would not speak to her about it at all.
Wow.
Until, and Tracy knows about it, as as a life coach, we talk about holding space for other people who go through their emotions. Yeah, because really, in reality, it took me 28 years to accept myself. And I was expecting her to accept me in 2.8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. So 1 year she came over and she brought up the subject again, and then I told her again, it's not a phase, and she cried, and this time I just sat down with her and she cried,
Yeah.
and then she emptied out all her stuff.
Mm.
And then at the end of it all, I just asked her, is there anything you want to ask me, anything else you want to know? She said, no, I'm okay now. And since
Okay.
then, we've had the best of relationships.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think she just had to go through that grieving process,
Yeah.
grieving what was not to be,
Mm.
and accept what was to become.
Mm.
Absolutely. What a journey.
Yeah. My dad, to be honest, I've never really had that one-on-one conversation with him. I think mom's probably spoken to him, and there's been stuff around, and he's probably in a stage of semi-denial, and well, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Mm.
Well, I'm glad you've made the peace.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my brother was super easy. Yeah, I just told him, and then he said, and this was so beautiful, and he said that, well, when you find a partner, it's like I've got another brother.
Oh.
Yeah, he said that, and I was so touched by that.
Yeah, that's lovely. How old is you? I didn't know you had a brother even. Older or younger?
He's 5 years younger.
Oh. And does he live in Malaysia or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
he's in Malaysia.
Mm.
Yeah, he's in Malaysia. All my family's in Malaysia, except for my Aussie adopted families.
Yeah.
So your next question, what's the story behind you becoming an elite coach and a coaching trainer?
Tracy knows this story. A lot of times with a childhood of needing to prove myself to be, as growing up, being, gay, and I was a short guy, and a lot of really baggage around who I am. I was on this quest to prove myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that if people accepted me, then I will be happy. So the problem with that, of course, is we take that with us wherever we go if we haven't healed the woundings of the past. So when I started work in Australia, I was a lecturer at University of Queensland, and then I was also a trainer with Fujitsu International. Yeah, traveling all over the world. So I was a hard worker, whatever that means, right? A hard worker, pushing myself to elevate my status, if you like, to be accepted. And I say that now, and I feel like, oh gosh, workaholic basically. And Tracy knows this, wearing workaholism like a badge of honor. And I remember I was also at that time working as a program manager with the state government in Queensland, and there was a transition of government. And they told us that if we didn't get this project over the line, I could lose my job, and not just me, but the people in my team
Yeah.
could lose their jobs. So I was working 16 plus hours at the time, working nights, working weekends, whilst doing all these other things, like concerts, music, and and other jobs here and there. And one night I was driving home just after midnight. I wasn't feeling good about my life because my partner at the time had also left me. Because I wasn't around. I mean, looking back, I wasn't around, and when I was around, I was not a nice person to be with.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I was going through all that turmoil in my life. I was super exhausted, driving home just after midnight. 2 minutes from arriving home, I nodded off and crashed my car. And with the air back in my face, that was my literal wake up call. Like woken up, and then I saw the paramedic's face, and he looked at me. He looked at the wreckage, and he said, "You're lucky to be alive." And I will remember those words for the rest of my life, because I knew then at that moment that things weren't working and something had to change. But I didn't know what. I didn't know how. And that started my journey of really working within. So I was medication for a few years on Zoloft for a few years to try to manage my depression. I saw psychologists, and they all helped to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But for a while, I felt like I was just rehashing my story again and again with narrative therapy. You go and you tell your story again and again and again. And there were times when I just went, "Oh, I've got an appointment with my psychologist like tomorrow. What am I going to tell her? What story do I have to tell her now to get through the session?" So I knew it was working, but there was something more. And that was when someone introduced me to a life coach, and she had a really beautiful way of helping me see the world through a different lens and seeing myself through a different lens. And a way that guided me to come up with my own conclusion, to adjust my own thinking and question myself rather than telling me how I should be viewing the world.
Yeah.
And she asked the most powerful questions. And the beautiful thing with her too is that she has also a background. She's also a medium.
She's also me.
A medium.
A medium. Oh.
Spiritual medium. Like she said, from a young age, she could speak and commune with spirits. Now, I don't know whether I believe in that. At the time, I didn't know whether I believed in that or not. But I do know that she had insights and intuition that was beyond anyone else I ever knew.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to cast any judgments on that part of her life.
No.
Yeah. But I did feel that actually helped her see things in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was so basically, with all love and respect to all your audience, I was mind effed.
You can say it. We already put a disclaimer. Yeah.
But literally, it was a mind fuck. All the beliefs and truths I had held on for so long in my life about proving myself to the world, about not accepting who I am, about thinking that I'm broken, like all of that is crushed to pieces because of her.
Wow.
And then I went, oh wow, what's this magic? What is this like crazy magic that she is? Crazy white magic that she's casting. What is this light that is shining from her? And that's when I went, I need to take a peek behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I enrolled in coaching school and I started learning from all these different mentors, and especially mentors that have a foundation in both coaching, neuroscience, plus ancient wisdom or spirituality.
Spirituality and
Yeah,
wisdom. Yeah.
that's the basis of my coaching practice.
Mm.
Combination of neuroscience, ancient wisdom, and spirituality.
Mm.
So that's my journey. That's how I went. Shit. In the aftermath of the accident, I realized when I looked at my broken leg, I've got a broken relationship with the world. I've got a broken relationship with myself. Yeah, and how do I mend that?
Wow. That's such a powerful story. But, it's quite amazing.
and
And courageous.
emotions came up then.
I know. And courageous because to make, I don't know. I always wonder. I wonder this as a coach. Is the secret pain for change? Is that what it takes for us to make the decision to finally change our lives? And for me, it was a different. For me, it was a different story. But everybody has a story about where they get to, where they're like, this, I can't do this anymore. Something has to change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think pain, our relationship with pain, has to change because when we fall down and then we hurt ourselves, that's pain.
Yeah.
And we think of it as pain when really it's just a message from the body letting us know that something needs to heal. Yeah, that's just it. That's just a message. You've fallen down, it hurts, and something needs to heal. Yeah. The thing with physical pain is that, especially in I guess in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and it's starting to change now. Physical pain, you go to doctors. Yeah. And most times you can see the pain and it's tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about intangible pain, mental, spiritual, emotional pain, is we don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it hurts just as much, if not more. And if we develop a different relationship with that pain and go, it's just letting you know that something's hurting, we need to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. And the thing is this, just as with physical pain, if you sprain your ankle and you look after it and you nurture it, then the pain is much and the pain is for this long. But if we don't do anything about it, the pain becomes this much and this much and this much and this much, and it takes this long to heal.
Yeah. It just gets worse and worse and
Yeah, it
worse.
just gets worse and worse. So, and that's my mission, I think, in my business, Tracy and Meenal. If I can help someone see the writing on the wall before the need for catastrophic pain or tragedy, then I fulfilled my passion and purpose.
Yeah.
For people to see that we don't have to get to that level of pain to make really beautiful, powerful, amazing things in life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be nice, but I think most of us are like conditioned to feel that level of pain before we can do something about it, right?
And that's why what you guys do is so amazing. That is why what you guys do is so amazing. When we share the message, and give people the choice to be inspired by the message if they choose to. A lot of people don't even hear the message. Yeah, but if they hear the message and they choose not to be inspired to change, that's cool. I'm like, everyone makes their own choices in life. But we need to step up and share the story and share the message.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so that's why thank you guys, for creating another forum, another channel for all of us to share our stories.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, And that's where I think I'm just going back to the pain thing. As a coach, we talk about where they're at, and they're usually at a place of being a workaholic and losing connections with loved ones and their families, or feeling not good enough and not stepping up. Or these to me, these are all signs that there's healing needed. It's just so hopefully they reach out for support before it gets to the catastrophic
Absolutely.
stage.
I talk about stress as a pain. Like when you're feeling stress, that's a pain. Yeah. And Eckhart Tolle, he condenses this really well. When there's stress in life or there's discomfort in life, there's only three options. Yeah. Number one, we stay in it and continue for the pain to grow and become excruciating, which is basically distract or repress or try to suppress the pain.
Or push through it.
Or push through it. Which is another form of this distracting, really, because what we're doing is we think that pushing through it the pain will go away, but it comes back the second time around, bigger, brighter, and stronger than before. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, get out of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that they have a choice to get out of it, because we've grown up with this education system that teaches us yes and no, right and wrong, black and white. So people think they have only two options. Stay in it or get out of it and feel miserable. Yeah, but you can get out of it and still feel happy. There's a way to do that. There's a third option, fourth option, fifth option. So that's number two. Find a way to get out of it and live a better life. And number three, stay in it but not be affected by it, which is also an option. Yeah, I know, for instance, my work was super toxic at one stage, but I managed to maneuver the situation with my boss, with a strong relation with my boss, to create a different team, to work on a different project. And then we created a culture of belonging, a culture of connection, a culture of of collaboration, and created really awesome results for a smaller group of people. And whatever shit that was happening out there was enough awareness and enough healthy boundaries that we wouldn't be affected by it.
Yeah.
That's so right. There's always choices, and that's what I think. Whether it's speaking with friends or coach, that our mind can expand.
Oh, I didn't hear that last bit. It lost you. The sound.
Our mind can grow to be able to see different and more creative solutions.
Exactly. It's not just one or the other. There's
not just one or the other.
There's multiple options.
And what's stopping us from exploring those options is really fear. And fear from the past. Things that have happened that haven't succeeded. And then we stop ourselves from trying again. When that's how a baby learns to crawl and then to run, by falling.
Yeah, by falling, hurting themselves.
By falling and hurting themselves. And then what happens is the parents and other caring people around clap their hands and celebrate the baby falling. And celebrate it and go, yeah, try again. But somewhere along the line, we forgot that's how babies grow.
Yeah, I know. When people fail, we get people commiserating. Oh, who are you? And you don't want pity at that point. I think, the best people in my life are like, well, what are you going to do about it? Do it again. Try it again. Do something different. They're the people I keep close, because that's what it's about. It's about getting up and trying again. And what did you learn? What can you do differently?
Yeah, and the people who care for us are around there for us to empty out as well and go, and not be judged. Not be judged for our failures. And actually celebrate it, because friends that go, do you know what? I'm gonna buy you lunch, and you're gonna tell me all about it.
Yeah,
brilliant. That's look for me, connection and And conversation is awesome. I mean, look, you can't stop me talking, right?
Yeah, no. It's great.
But that's brilliant. That's
Mm.
that's what I need. I don't need someone to judge me. I don't need someone to fix it. I don't need someone to tell me what the next solution is.
No.
Yeah.
Just
I
someone to listen.
listen.
Mm.
I mean, we look back to my mom. That's what she needed, really, right? She just needed someone to listen.
Mm.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Cool. I'll shut up now.
I know. I want to get this question because of like time.
Yeah.
So, because one of the purposes of this podcast is to talk about bias and discrimination and how you can approach that. And what I haven't actually articulated before is in a way that is respectful, in a way that is the third or the fourth or the fifth option.
No, okay.
Because you can respond, like if you experience hate or ignorance, you can respond with anger, you can respond in those ways, and occasionally there may be appropriate times if you're in danger or whatever to respond in that way. Often though, there is other ways that take advantage of the situation in the sense that they are almost without judgment, but with helping understanding and compassion and make something better out of the situation rather than something worse. So really, I've never articulated that before, but that's really what I would like to achieve here. So
I think that's yeah. Sorry, you go.
So the question for you is: have you ever experienced any forms of that, and how did you handle it?
So I think I sort of give an example when I was in Toowoomba, where you walk in and there's ignorance basically. So I think that the first thing I do is I don't I think the first thing for us really is not to judge that is racism until it's confirmed, because everyone has biases. The fact that we think someone has a bias is our bias. It could be our bias as well.
Yeah.
So I think we got to start with that. Of course, if someone like full on coming to attack with a bat and all that, that's different. Yeah. Then we go into survival mode, fight or flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the right response, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I believe it's the right response. Yeah. But walking into a shop and someone gives us a glare and all that, I think we have to just check our biases before we assume it's racism. Right. And just have a conversation first, because who knows? There could be a shy person. Yeah, or they could have had a bad day. And I've had that too, where I walk into a Coles, checkout. I was going to say checkout chick, but please know that I'm saying that with love.
Yeah, get it.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they're like freaking just not talking to me and putting stuff in the bag. And I could go into racism mode immediately. I could go, bad day, hey. And I have a few times, and then their face light up. And they go, it's true, blah, blah, blah. And they're emptying out, so, and we all have bad days. And if only someone would just ask us, listen, or connect with us, that might make it easy. So I think for me, that's really, yeah. Now, of course, after that, if they still look at me or, whatever it is, then I will set a boundary. I'll say, you know what? You cannot talk to me like that. That's all I do. You can't talk to me like that. If you want to have a conversation to work this out like two adults, that's cool, right? But you can't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Because I believe, and this is from coaching as well, Tracy, we talk about working with forces and setting boundaries with forces. Meenal, have you heard this?
I talked about it on another podcast. Go ahead.
Yes, which made me
when the horse comes to you, if you want a horse to go away, then we flick. Yeah, we flick as if we are flicking flies. Yeah, and if they get the message, that's cool. So it's like flicking flies, right? When you say you can't talk to me like that. Yeah. If they don't go away, then you got to push against the fur, and then push against the skin, then push against the flesh, and push against the bone. There is a spectrum of boundary setting. Yeah. So so that's what I believe. I think you start off with assuming that it's not, and then if it is the case, look, you can't talk to me that. What's the real problem? Yeah. What's the real problem? And I don't assume. I won't say things, and this is the thing. Sometimes we say things that we shouldn't. I feel. What is it? My language? Is it my accent? Is it how I look? Yeah, yeah. It might be.
Is it because I'm black?
Yeah, am I black? Is it because I've got curly hair? Yeah, is it because I've got yellow skin? Whatever it is, right? I think that is the stage where we're actually going to a territory where we are giving our power away. Where we're giving our power away. We really need to get them, right, to justify their behavior.
Yeah, they need to justify. We're not guessing on their behalf.
Not us trying to guess their behavior or trying to trap them, because that actually backfires. Yeah, that actually backfires. Yeah, and if they say, they say things like, like for example, even at when I was a lecturer, there was a student who said something like, oh, it's just your accent, I can't understand you. Great. So what can I do to help you understand? Right? Is it whatever you need is in the material, and if you need one-on-one time, I think we've got to solve the real problem, and even if it comes from a racist mindset. That conversation actually causes a cognitive dissonance in their mind about how an Asian person is. Right?
Yeah.
If I attack them, they'll just attack back.
Exactly.
And then you go, oh, maybe Asians, maybe blacks, maybe yellows, or whoever you are actually more intelligent than I think they are. Yeah, so I think, cognitive dissonance, the cure for cognitive dissonance is cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. Get them to really think about what they're saying or how they're behaving.
And if it's really a racist thing, then they have to bring it up, I think. I feel anyway. Of course, there are situations where, there are, workplace situations where, it's termed as bully, and I think we need to step up. Yeah, but at the same time, again, we're focusing on the behavior. And the reason behind the behavior is up to the mediators to figure out, not me. Yeah, because if I focus on that, I will actually the situation might actually backfire. And number two, it's not good for my stress.
No. And have you experienced that though? Have you experienced a specific situation where it has backfired?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Where I go, I mean, that's why I say it now. Or is it because I'm an international student?
Right.
And then it creates, I think it creates more drama than it should. Now, of course, if you think that's the case, speak to a coach. Speak to a friend. Speak and empty out the emotional charge. So that you can actually deal with the situation in a more, I will say, rational, objective way.
Yeah. And we talked about that before. Yeah. Because I've had situations where I've had situations where I haven't said anything. And the reason I haven't said anything, because I felt so many emotions that I didn't want to make the situation worse because I was experiencing all these emotions. And it's only after I've been able to have a conversation, empty out, that I felt, right, how would I handle that situation again? That I feel like I could have addressed it, but obviously it's too late sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a posting which we learn. But again, it's not really too late, Tracy, because if that person really has that sort of behavior towards a person, they will do it again.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if it's a once-off, of course, it's too late because you never meet them again. And if you never meet them again, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, this is
seriously, if you never meet them again, it doesn't matter. Yeah. If they're in a situation where you'll see them again, if that pattern is a pattern, they will do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, and I also see your point, which is the beautiful, and I'm trying to learn that too, and not just with racism, but with any sort of comments that are not very nice conversation.
Yeah.
Where sometimes I'm just not quick enough, with all love, just not quick enough to have a comeback that is resourceful.
Yes, a resourceful comeback. That's what we need, resourceful comebacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also sometimes questions really help. As coaches, we talk about questions. So if they do something like that, I just go, what's the real problem here? And I shut up.
Yeah. I don't know. I was so interesting. I just have to share the story. So I was out yesterday, like on a Christmas party. I have several mini Christmas parties with different groups of friends, and we were in the city, and we came across this group of people doing a 12 pubs of Christmas. There was like 20 of them, and they were all dressed up, and we were chatting to them and making conversations with different people in the group, and it's fun, and we love connecting with strangers when we're out. And I was listening to this conversation my girlfriend was having with one of the members of this group, and we've talked about this, Meenal. Where are you from?
Yeah, yes.
I'm from Australian. No. Where are you really from? I honestly, I'm Australian. No, where are you from? Is it China, Hong Kong? Like, where are you from? Honestly, and she's like, honestly, and it's just this conversation, and like they had a great conversation. There was no animosity, but I just sat there going,
Yeah, you see, I've had that. I've had that as well, and different people. Look, I think I just want to share that, whatever my opinions are, just are from my, like, totally my perspective, and I just try things out. I've had that too, and I just go, right. So, are you asking me about my heritage, my legacy, or asking me about my citizenship?
well, this is how I answer it now.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah.
So I'm taking the question, like, again, I'm assuming that the question comes from a place of curiosity. Right? But obviously, it's got racist sentiments to it,
Yes.
right? It's got racial sentiments to it. So by asking that question, hopefully I'm making them think that if you're going to ask that question, ask the right question.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then someone tells you where they are from, then don't freaking correct someone's answers when it's the right answer and it's the truth.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in where someone's heritage is, like, for example, I'd ask you, hey Tracy, what about your, and I'm happy to do that. And I say, I will say, I hope it's okay that I ask you, your skin, dark skin, like, what's your heritage? Parents, your great grandparents, where do they come from?
Exactly. It's a perfectly reasonable, acceptable, and a question I'm happy to receive and talk about. It's just the kind of almost like an argument, like you're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we can always go, and I've done that too. Why? Where do you come from?
I did that. Telling me I've done that.
Where did you come from? No. Australia it's only been here for a couple of 100 years. Where do you come from?
Yeah, I have done that, but like I said, it depends what mood you catch me in.
I've had a situation, again, minor, but still useful, I think, where, there was a Vietnamese lecturer in the common room talking to, obviously, her parents in Vietnam. And then another, white Aussie lecturer came up to me and said, I wish you wouldn't do that. We can't listen, we can't understand what she's saying, and it's so disruptive. And I'm like, what language do you speak to when you speak to your parents?
Yes. Exactly. That's so strange.
Yeah. I know.
So I'm like, so you're telling me when you are in France, you're going to speak to your parents in French?
Yeah, exactly. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I have that too. So for me, it's all about cognitive dissonance versus cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. Them understanding what they're really asking. And there was the other. I had two really good ones last night. So the other one was there was I love this story. In the group of people, there was a woman who was African American. Yeah, she was the only one there, but she lived in Australia for 20 years, and she's become friends in this community. And she was out celebrating, and we got chatting. And she's from New York, and she has kids here. She married an Aussie, and all this kind of thing. And we're chatting, and one of her friends comes over and looks at us and goes, "Oh my God, you could be sisters." And we looked at each other, and there was this non-verbal communication between the two of us. And this is what I was saying. Love you, love, when we don't look anything like each other. And I know she was thinking the same. Oh, it was so funny. And then when they'd left,
what did you do?
well, she was like, the only two black people in the room, and we look like each other. And we kind of had a joke about it. But it's just another example of one of those things.
Like as an observer, right? I would have loved if you actually said that in that situation. Like,
so the guy we didn't say it to him, he'd gone, but we said it in the group. We were just like,
because I've done that. I said, yeah, because all Asians look the same.
Yes.
yeah. Should have said that. Well, we were too busy doing this with our eyes going on.
I've had. Oh, you look like Psy. The Korean singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meenal will know him. I don't know who it is. Meenal will know. She's very much into it.
Yeah, you look like Psy. I'm like, yeah, that's right, because all Asians look the same. No, yeah. I don't know. I think also we have to. This is again my opinion, right? We got to pick our battles. Like these ones, a few little like trinkets here and there. It's just going to change people's thinking. Yeah. But I've also had situations like I was helpless to do anything. Yeah, where in Toowoomba, driving home late at night and at the lights, and another car was next to me, and I just casually looked across, and I got the finger. Now, I don't know if it was racially incited. I feel it was, but what can I do? Lights turn green, and then he goes off. And at that time, I hadn't worked on myself with all the coaching and stuff, and I held on to that trauma for months.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well, how long you hold on to it. Because I'll be honest, before I've done all this work, those things would sit with me for a long time. Even the minor things. These, they're more trivial. Like, there's still potentially an element of racism in there.
Absolutely.
But they just don't have the impact that they used to have, which is great.
Yeah, and I think our responsitivity to these events become faster the less charge we have.
The less charge, exactly.
The less charge we have. Because, we can use some crazy, resourceful humor and just,
Yeah.
Oh, look at the two coaches vibing. I love it.
I love the group too. What do you do, Meenal? What's your
I work in clinical trials. I work in
Okay.
research. So, yes, experiencing a lot of stress at the moment. So I'm looking forward to my Christmas break, having that downtime.
I am too. Oh, I didn't tell you guys. You guys are the last event this year for me with work.
Yay!
That's awesome.
So after this, I'm like holiday mode.
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And, it's been really wonderful, and it's always wonderful to talk to you. I love your stories and how you succinctly, metaphorically illustrate a point. I love it. And it's been such a pleasure having you to talk to.
You both. And I hope, you can't stop me.
No.
Sorry.
Great to meet you, Andrew, because I've heard a lot of things. So it's awesome to meet you, finally.
Lovely to meet you, Meenal. And I hope we get a chance to meet if I'm ever down in Sydney, and if you're ever up in Brisbane, hit me up for coffee.
I will do. I haven't been to Brisbane in a long time, but we might have to come to experience summer again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not happening in Sydney.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Lots of love. Yeah, and I hope this was in line with what the podcast is about, and hopefully it served your purpose in some way.
It did. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Lots
you
of
so much.
love.
Lots
Have
of
a
love.
great day.
You
Ciao.
too. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That was awesome.
It really was. He's a great person to chat to, honestly. Reminds me a lot, funnily enough, of myself and my brothers. I don't
Does
know.
it?
Yeah, because we're all that talkative type.
Yeah.
Especially when we start telling our stories. So
Yeah. Well, I've known Andrew now for 4 years. And I didn't know any of this about his life. I had no idea he started his life in Toowoomba.
Yes,
In
exactly.
Australia.
That's so random to think that. Even thinking about, because when we came to Sydney, that was enough of a shock. But imagine coming from like Malaysia, immigrants, and landing in Toowoomba of all places, and just, I don't know. I don't know if and he has such a positive vibe from it all. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yes.
good.
Yes, he has. I mean, it would have been a culture shock, right?
Oh yeah, like it would have been so dramatic, I think, to end up in a country town, and to have that. He's probably right. The university environment probably was a lot more inclusive, but I can imagine outside of the university it wasn't so easy,
Mm.
So yeah, to be able to deal with that when you're so young as well, and try and figure out a place for yourself in this random little town.
I know. I like how he handled what could be perceived as like racial profiling. Where you walk into a shop or a store and people looking at you with, what did he say? It was not apprehension, bit of apprehension.
Yeah.
Insecurity, that was it.
Mm.
Insecurity. Now, that, if you jump into conclusion, you say this person's racist or this person's racially profiling me, I'd say I like how he handled it. You just have to, it's almost like you have to be curious. You can't assume that that's what that behavior is. And that's a really good reminder for me. If you got to test that theory. Hi, how are you? Go over and chat. How long has the store been here? Whatever. Make conversation and, see is that really the case? I think that's a really, really good approach to that.
I'm impressed he figured it out so soon, because even for me, I feel like if I was in that situation even now, I'd probably be put off and just walk out, as opposed to being like curious and being like, okay, let's figure out what this is about. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, what makes you walk out is fear, right?
Exactly. So it's probably the same feeling she's having, and I'm mirroring and then walking out. So
yeah. So this is good. This is good. This is good. And I'm just thinking of a girlfriend. Well, a friend of a friend. She was in the book club for a little bit. She's Brit. She's British with African background, and she moved to Melbourne. And she shared experiences where she feels she was racially profiled, like walking into a store, being constantly followed around the store, like she was going to steal something. That was her perception of what was going on, which may or may not be true. But how to be able to turn that around by going up to the person straight away. I mean, he's right. You shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But you have a choice, because there's nothing positive out of the situation where you feel that because it's stressful. And you walk away believing that, and maybe not wanting to go back in the store, whatever. That's a less desirable outcome than going and talking to the person to see if that's really what's going on. And you don't have to be so direct in the face. Are you racially profiling me? Because like you said, you're just inviting trouble. You're giving your power away. It's really about, hi, are they friendly towards you? You're speaking to them. They can understand you, blah, blah, blah. It might not be that. It might be they've never seen that's the first black person I've seen in real life. It could be. In some places, to be fair. But I don't, I don't know. But I really like that suggestion. I just think, depending on, I'm specifically thinking about black people here, especially in America, because of the violence that they still experience and the hatred that they still experience. There's a lot of wounding.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of wounding to heal in order to be able to be at a place where the charge isn't so much that you can respond resourcefully in a scenario that may or may not be racial, without jumping to the conclusion that it is a racial behavior or a racial response or racist response. So to get to that place, there's a lot of healing to do. When you're still being damaged,
Yeah.
and talking generally in society, when you're still being damaged, that's not so easy to do. So that's why it's everybody's responsibility. If we want to eliminate racism, it's more than just being a good person. It's more than just treating. It is about treating everybody with respect, but it's also about holding people accountable for their behavior when you see it or when you hear it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So what else did you take from his chat?
I don't know. I'm always in awe of people who move so far away from their family and set up like a whole different community for themselves. Like all of yourself and all of our friends have done. Because yeah, I think that's a very difficult thing to do. But to have to struggle with your identity and your sexuality at the same time, I think that's a whole it's amazing that he's built so much positivity around it.
I mean, he wasn't always positive though, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't escape you can't escape your pain. You can't escape the bad without healing it. And obviously it had to get to a point for him where he had this behavior that caused him to basically nearly kill himself. Like we said, the pain before you finally decide that something has to change. But everybody's level is different as well. Like mine was what I call my mini breakdown at work. I didn't nearly kill myself, but I felt like I was dying. I know it sounds extreme, or it might sound, you know, extravagant, but it did. That's how it felt. And that's why what I would call a breakdown. I don't know if this meets the clinical definition. But for me, that's what it felt like. So that was my wake-up call. It's like, what's everybody else's wake-up call? And I think you already get signs. Before it gets to that stage, you already get little clues. You already get little nudges from the body telling you that something needs to change. And it gets worse and worse and worse until you listen. Anyway, but yes, absolutely. He turned it around. And he's been a wonderful, wonderful mentor for me in my business and my coaching. Yes. All right. So we will see you for one final episode with none other than one final episode with our guest co-host, lovely Meenal. She will not be with us no more. No. But we won't say goodbye yet in the next one. Okay. Bye for now. Bye.